In this video, evidence will be presented showing that the murder of LaVoy Finicum by the FBI was premeditated. Evidence will be presented that will answer conclusively the question of why LaVoy did not stop at the roadblock, and determine with certainty whether or not LaVoy was attempting to stop or attempting to run the roadblock. It will be shown that many of the events that have been previously blamed on LaVoy and on the other occupants of the truck were in fact intentionally caused by the FBI and Oregon State Police for the purpose of justifying the killing of LaVoy. You will see an unmistakable and repeated pattern of the FBI and Oregon State Police doing everything in their power to provoke violence in order to justify the killing of LaVoy. This was an elaborately staged, premeditated murder by the FBI in which every detail was planned out. In the following clip, Shauna Cox, who took the cell phone video from within LaVoy's truck, describes the events of the first shot and how it led to LaVoy fleeing in his truck from the first stop.
And so Ryan Payne talks to LaVoy and saying, "Look, dude, you need to kind of slow down. You better pull over because they're gaining up on us." So finally, reluctantly, LaVoy slows down and pulls over. And he didn't pull very far over because it's a snowy road. But he slows down and he stops, and Ryan Payne rolls down the window and he sticks both hands out the window and he yells back at I'm guessing whoever it was with the flashing lights, and he yells back at him. It hadn't been 2 seconds probably, and his hands are out, and a shot comes through and misses his hands. I thought it hit him, but it hit the mirror, the little thing between the mirror and the window, and so that was the first shot fired, and he yanked back in really fast, and he goes, "Wow, they're shooting at us." Well, it was unbelievable, and we're going, "Whoa, what?" And so LaVoy was gonna go on. And when I looked up, and he has on the back of his head, he has a laser pointing on the top of his head. There's a laser beam on his head. And he leans out in front of the mirror, out of the window, and he puts his hand out, and he has one on the steering wheel, and he yells back at them. And he says, then shoot me, because we're going to see the sheriff. We have a meeting with the sheriff and John Day, so just go ahead and shoot me if that's what you're gonna do. Ryan said, there's women in the truck. And he says, somebody from the back says, tell the women to get out. If they want to get out, tell them to get out. LaVoy says, if you guys want out, then get out. Well, really my door was still locked. But Victoria was freaked out already because we had already seen a bullet. And she said, I'm not getting out. When my mother instinct kicks in, and I said, I'm not leaving her. So I guess we're here. And we slunk down and he took off. So
he put his hands out the window because he was trying to talk to them. He's like, if he wanted the guy to just, he's like, I don't know if it's worth it. He's like, so he put his hands out the window and he said, we have women in the car, at least let the women get out. And he stuck his head out and they shot at him, but they missed him, or he ducked just in time. So they didn't hit him, and then they're like, oh, they mean business. They're going to shoot us. And so Ryan decided to get out of the car and try to go talk to them.
The officers fired at Ryan Payne when Ryan Payne was attempting to talk with them. They said that they fired in order to get the occupants of the truck to comply. An unprovoked shot will not get people to comply. Victoria's response of wanting to stay in the truck is a natural response. Ryan's response of getting out of the truck after an unprovoked shot is not a normal response. So why did Ryan Payne get out of the truck after being shot at? Ryan Payne fits the profile of an agent provocateur almost exactly. He played a major role in turning the protest into an armed occupation, and was often trying to convince people to be willing to die for the cause. The unprovoked shot at Ryan Payne was very strategic and served several purposes for the FBI. This shot gave Ryan Payne a way to exit the truck before the real shooting started without revealing his real role as an agent provocateur. This shot also provoked the other people to stay in the truck, and it provoked LaVoy to flee. If the plan was to kill LaVoy at the roadblock, this shot was necessary to get LaVoy to flee. According to the officer's statements, They were planning more shots with gas rounds. They claimed it was to prevent LaVoy from driving off, but it is more logical to conclude that its purpose was to encourage LaVoy to drive off. When LaVoy flees from the first stop, Officer 4 pursues. Officer 4 speaks about his own speed and states, "I probably even hit close to 90. Since there is a roadblock just over a mile away, chasing LaVoy at high speeds is a bad decision. He is unlikely to overtake LaVoy since the roadblock is too close. Chasing LaVoy at high speeds would only encourage LaVoy to drive faster and create a dangerous situation at the roadblock. The real purpose of chasing LaVoy was to encourage LaVoy to drive faster in order to create a high-speed crash at the roadblock."
What about Ammon and those guys?
We can't get around them. I'm going to go get help.
Okay.
Stay down. I need a phone so I can call as soon as I get service.
Wait up. Yeah, keep watching the phone to see if you get any service.
I don't have any.
I can't even get Joe Rice.
Coming up fast.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, I don't know about numbers.
Well, I got numbers, but I can't call because we have no service.
Okay.
No, mobile network not available.
Do you have numbers for people here in town?
The video has been stopped at the point where LaVoy's brake lights come on. As LaVoy's truck approaches the roadblock, 3 shots will be fired at his truck.
Yeah, but... Hang on!
Okay, they're shooting.
Hang on!
Okay, we're here.
This is the map view of the roadblock. LaVoy approached from the south. The roadblock was first visible here. It was first recognizable as a roadblock here. LaVoy began braking here. The roadblock was positioned here. Notice that the roadblock is positioned on the curve, making it dangerous. However, there is a straight stretch of road just beyond the roadblock. The FBI could have positioned the roadblock further down this straight stretch of road for a safer roadblock, but they chose the more dangerous location. This shows the 2 views of the road from the position of the roadblock. The photo on the left shows the view looking south in the direction that LaVoy approached. The photo on the right shows the view beyond the roadblock looking north. You can see that the southern approach to the roadblock is a dangerous blind curve, while the northern view shows a very visible straight stretch of road. This shows that there were safe positions for the roadblock that were easily available, but the FBI chose the dangerous position. It is not only the blind curve that makes this roadblock dangerous. This is the nearest speed limit sign before the curve, which shows a speed limit of 65 miles per hour. Many other blind curves in the area have a speed limit of 40 miles per hour. This is not only a blind curve, but the speed limit is higher. The curve has a significant downhill slope as it approaches the roadblock. This graph is from Google Earth, and it shows the elevation profile of the approach to the roadblock. The roadblock is first visible here. The roadblock is positioned here. Just after the roadblock is visible, the slope of the hill is more than a 10% downhill grade, according to Google Earth. In addition, just before the roadblock becomes visible, the slope changes suddenly from nearly flat to a steep downhill slope. These factors greatly increase the risk of a crash as a result of the position of this roadblock. This picture is a composite view of LaVoy's approach to the roadblock. This is the point where the roadblock first became visible. This is the point where LaVoy began applying his brakes. Looking backward from when LaVoy applied his brakes, if we assume a normal reaction time of 1 second, this is the point where LaVoy first recognized the roadblock. If we assume a reasonable but slower reaction time of 2.5 seconds, this is where LaVoy first recognized the roadblock. This is the position where the first shot was taken, this is the position where the second shot was taken, and this is the third shot position. This position is where the roadblock is first visible according to the major incident team. They seem to think that LaVoy had plenty of time to see the roadblock. In a few seconds I will show you a recreation of the view from near this point. See how long it takes you to recognize any hazards on the road. Here it is. You saw the view for the same amount of time as it took for LaVoy to recognize the roadblock. Did you recognize a roadblock? Here is a view from the point where LaVoy recognized the roadblock. Did you recognize a roadblock? Would you have slammed on your brakes? If you answered yes, then you have failed this simple test. There was no roadblock in these two views. They were a safe situation with trucks parked beside the road in a roadside pullout. This is a comparison of a safe situation on the left compared with a roadblock on the right. I have added a 3-foot snowbank to simulate the conditions that day. The snowbank combined with the curve makes it hard to tell the difference between a safe situation and a roadblock. Here is the same set of views without the snowbank. Now you can tell the difference between the safe situation and the roadblock. However, because of the curve, it is still difficult to recognize the difference. It is only when you see the roadblock unobstructed by the snowbank and without the distortion of the curve that it is clearly recognizable. This is two views from the point where LaVoy recognized the roadblock. The safe situation is on the left and the roadblock is on the right. It is at this point that the difference is becoming noticeable and the roadblock is recognizable. Here is the same set of views without the snowbank. Now we will look at the Oregon Department of Transportation Highway Design Manual. To determine when LaVoy should have been able to recognize the roadblock, we need to understand the stopping sight distance. Stopping sight distance is the minimum distance required for a vehicle traveling at a particular design speed to come to a complete stop after an obstacle on the road becomes visible. Stopping sight distance is normally sufficient to allow an alert and prudent driver to come to a hurried stop under normal circumstances. Stopping sight distance is measured from the driver's eye to an object 2 feet above the roadway surface. For the stopping sight distance, the driver must be able to see an object 2 feet off the ground. There is a 3-foot snowbank along the road. This means that the stopping sight distance must be measured at the first point where the snowbank does not block the vision of the roadblock. This snowbank here is what would block the vision of the roadblock. Also note that if this is a 3-foot snowbank, then the snowbank here is clearly greater than 3 feet, and this is where it matters most. A green dotted line has been placed on the boundary of where the snowbank would obscure vision of the roadblock. It goes from the center of the roadblock and through the snowbank. When a driver reaches this line, they can see that at least one truck is blocking the road ahead. I am calling this the point where the roadblock is recognizable, and this is the point where the stopping sight distance should be measured. The distance from the roadblock is 470 feet. This is the point where LaVoy applied his brakes. This is the point where he recognized the roadblock if you assume he was alert with a reaction time of 1 second. This is the point where he recognized the roadblock if you assume he was less alert with a reaction time of 2.5 seconds. Anywhere in between these is a reasonable reaction time. The point where the roadblock is recognizable falls within this range. This means that the point where LaVoy recognized the roadblock was within the expected range for a normal driver. This also means that LaVoy began braking at the expected time for a normal driver. According to the Highway Design Manual, the stopping sight distance for 65 miles per hour is 645 feet. Since this is greater than the 470 feet measured, this means that the roadblock does not meet the recommended design specs from the Highway Design Manual. This roadblock was not designed to be safe. Furthermore, the point where LaVoy recognized the roadblock is at the expected location based upon the stopping sight distance. LaVoy was not at fault for not braking earlier. The designers of the roadblock were responsible. At this point, LaVoy is about to begin braking. Pay attention to the brake lights on the truck. You will see that once LaVoy's brake lights come on, they stay on the entire time. Now I will answer the following questions. Why did LaVoy fail to stop at the roadblock? Was LaVoy attempting to stop, or was LaVoy attempting to run the roadblock? In order to answer these questions, a detailed computer analysis of the speed of LaVoy's truck was created. This was done using an image tracking program that was created for this type of analysis. By using a computer cross-correlation tracking method, the motion of LaVoy's truck was tracked relative to the video image. Multiple objects on the ground were also tracked to get the motion of the ground relative to the video image. By combining these two measurements, the motion of LaVoy's truck relative to the ground was calculated. The result is a graph of the speed of LaVoy's truck calculated at an interval of 1/30th of a second. This is the speed graph that resulted from this analysis. It is a graph of speed in miles per hour as a function of time in seconds. This is the point at which LaVoy's brake lights first came on. This is the point at which LaVoy's truck first entered the snow. The steep slope of the graph here is due to the truck quickly stopping in the snow. This point here is near where LaVoy first recognized the roadblock. At this point it appears that LaVoy took his foot off of the gas. This delay of about 1 second between where LaVoy recognized the roadblock and where he first began applying his brakes is consistent with the normal reaction time of an alert driver. The part of the graph that we are most concerned with is after LaVoy first applied the brakes and before he entered the snow. Initially, this downward slope indicates that LaVoy began braking. However, at this point, he paused his braking. At this point, the downward slope of the graph indicates that he began braking again. At this point, LaVoy paused his braking again before entering the snow. I have superimposed my interpretation of the graph, showing in yellow the times when LaVoy was braking, and in blue the times when LaVoy paused his braking. At first, LaVoy brakes for about 1 second and then pauses. The second braking is minimal. The third braking event is the strongest. LaVoy is braking the hardest at this point. The unusual feature is that after each braking event, there is a pause with no detectable braking. Since the brake lights remain on the entire time, we know that LaVoy is still braking, but during the pauses, there is no substantial deceleration. This graph is very unusual. Why would LaVoy brake and then pause his braking multiple times within the span of about 3 seconds? Was LaVoy indecisive on whether to brake or not? Or was something interfering with his ability to brake? Now we will look at this first braking event more closely. If LaVoy had continued braking at this rate, he would have been able to stop in 407 feet. The typical emergency stopping distance for 70 miles per hour is listed as 375 feet for dry pavement and 686 feet for wet pavement. Although there is visible water on the road in several locations, LaVoy is stopping at a rate more consistent with dry pavement. The slope of the braking event is consistent with the minimum stopping distance if the coefficient of friction is 0.46. This is within the expected parameters of a normal driver making an emergency stop. This line represents a vehicle stopping at the minimum stopping distance assuming a coefficient of friction of 0.5. This would be a reasonable graph for dry pavement. This line represents a vehicle stopping at the minimum stopping distance, assuming a coefficient of friction of 0.4. This would be a reasonable graph for wet pavement. LaVoy's braking fits within these lines and is completely consistent with LaVoy attempting to stop as quickly as possible. Now we will look at the third braking event. This line represents a vehicle stopping at the minimum stopping distance, assuming a coefficient of friction of 0.5. This would be a reasonable graph for dry pavement. Again, LaVoy is attempting to stop as quickly as possible. When LaVoy was braking hard, he was braking as hard as a normal driver stopping as quickly as possible. LaVoy failed to stop because he did not continue braking. The question that must be answered now is why LaVoy did not continue braking. In order to explain the unusual pauses in braking, more events have been added to the graph. Here the timing of shots as heard on the video from the truck cab have been added. Now it is clear why LaVoy paused his braking. The first shot was fired after LaVoy had been braking hard for about 1 second. After each shot fired at LaVoy, there is a pause in braking. LaVoy was surprised by the shots. In addition to being startled, it is a natural response to pull inward in response to a shot. However, braking requires extending the leg. A pause in the braking graph is what would be expected as a result of the shots. The data is clear. It shows that LaVoy was attempting to stop. The reason that LaVoy failed to stop was that the 3 shots fired at him disrupted his braking and prevented him from stopping in time. There was a skid mark on the road found by the major incident team. It is shown here in their report. I have placed the skid mark on the graph, assuming that it was made by the front tires of LaVoy's truck. The location of the skid mark matches exactly the point where LaVoy began braking the hardest. This also confirms that at this time he was braking as hard as possible and consistent with the minimum stopping distance. I have also placed the point where LaVoy's truck begins turning towards the snow. This will be important for determining what LaVoy's intentions were as he swerved into the snow. Now I will address specifically the question of whether or not LaVoy attempted to run the roadblock. The data shows that initially LaVoy was attempting to stop, and therefore could not have been trying to run the roadblock. However, there still remains the possibility that at some point LaVoy changed his mind and decided to run the roadblock. If LaVoy was attempting to run the roadblock, he should have begun accelerating after he had determined a path around the roadblock, but before entering the snow. He would need to gain enough speed to make it through the snow. The point that LaVoy should have accelerated is at the point he began turning towards the snow or soon after. The red curve represents the projected curve if LaVoy had decided to run the roadblock. At the point that LaVoy would have needed to accelerate, he was stopping as quickly as possible and even left a skid mark. LaVoy's actions were exactly opposite to what he would have done if he were trying to run the roadblock. The data could not be any clearer. LaVoy was attempting to stop the entire time. LaVoy never attempted to run the roadblock. Now the events inside the truck cab will be shown to be consistent with the speed graph. Along with the cab view, a graph representing deceleration will be shown on the right. It measures deceleration in feet per second squared. The event is labeled in the yellow bar to represent the events on the graph. The labels correspond to the events on the speed graph as 1, 2, 3, and snow braking. The entire graph will flash red to signify the timing of the shots. First, the video segment will be shown at normal speed. You should notice that Ryan's shoulder is pushed up against the seat in front of him on the first and third braking events. The third braking event is short, and Ryan actually bounces off the seat in front of him.
People here in town?
Yeah, but... Hang on!
Okay, because they're shooting.
Hang on!
Okay, we're down. Okay, we're here.
Go ahead and shoot me!
The events are hard to follow at normal speed. Here it is again at 25% speed. Now it will be shown at 10% normal speed. You should be able to see Ryan bounce off the seat in front on the third event. You might also notice that after the first shot, Ryan begins to duck at the same time that LaVoy pauses his braking, showing that LaVoy pausing his braking is a normal response to the shot, as is ducking. The events inside the truck cab are consistent with the speed graph, and all of the major events on the speed graph show visible effects in the cab view video. This is verification that the speed graph and its interpretation are correct. The officer's stated intent of stopping the vehicle by shooting at it is impossible in this situation. Because of the close distance and because LaVoy's truck is already headed towards the roadblock, the only way to stop it before crashing into the roadblock is either with the brakes or the steering. The most likely result of shooting at LaVoy's vehicle is to prevent it from stopping, and according to the data, that is what actually happened. LaVoy began stopping at the expected position and began stopping at the expected rate for a normal driver. The fact that LaVoy failed to stop was primarily due to the dangerous placement of the roadblock and shooting at LaVoy as he attempted to stop. Now we will look at the 2 shots fired at LaVoy as he exits the truck. No one, not even the major incident team, has attempted to justify these shots as reasonable. These shots are consistent with trying to provoke LaVoy in order to justify killing LaVoy. These shots are believed to be fired by the FBI, but they were not revealed by the FBI. The major incident team discovered these shots. Even Sheriff Nelson seems quite upset with the FBI for not revealing these shots. These shots are consistent with premeditated murder and completely inconsistent with the official story.
Okay, we're here.
Go ahead and shoot me.
Jim! Okay, we're here.
Go ahead and shoot me.
Jim! Okay, we're here.
Go ahead and shoot me.
Jim!
This FBI agent is kneeling in the snow and is armed with foam bullets. As soon as LaVoy becomes visible to him, he will fire a foam bullet hitting LaVoy in the left side of his chest. The FBI agent will immediately run away. The purpose of this shot is to cause LaVoy to reach for the wound, which will appear on the video as if he is reaching for a gun. This will be the final justification for killing LaVoy.
Stay down, stay down, stay down.
LaVoy has now lowered his arms in response to being shot with a foam bullet, and the FBI agent runs away because it is important that this shot is not discovered. This shot by itself is enough to prove premeditated murder. I have devoted an entire video to this shot and the evidence for it. For the purpose of this video, I will assume this shot is established as fact. This shot was not revealed by the FBI or the major incident team. Here is the foam bullet shot again at a slower speed. Now you will see the foam bullet shot followed by the 3 shots in the back that kill LaVoy. All previous shots, as well as the position of the roadblock, were designed to set up the situation that would justify these shots.
Stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down. Damn it, are they shooting him? Did I shoot him? You assholes. Oh my God! Hold still. Stay down.
After Mr. Finicum was shot, numerous gas projectiles and flashbangs were deployed to get the remaining occupants of the truck, Ryan Bundy, Shauna Cox, and Victoria Sharp, to surrender peacefully.
In the interview with Officer 1 after LaVoy has been killed, Officer 1 describes how they dealt with the remaining occupants of the truck. He states that they were attempting to get the rest of the people in the vehicle to comply and take them into custody. Further down, he describes multiple diversions to try to distract the people that were in the vehicle and try to get them to comply with the verbal commands that I was hearing being yelled. Later, Officer 1 states, "I knew the multi-launcher would have orange tips, meaning that they would contain OCCS chemical agents in them, and that they were going to deploy those rounds into the truck as minutes had lapsed and the occupants in the truck were not complying with commands. They were not exiting the truck within a reasonable amount of time whatsoever. There was no reason they couldn't have exited the truck and complied with the commands. Gas was deployed into the truck. There was still a period of time where they were not coming out. In the interview with Officer 4, Officer 4 states, after Finicum went down, shortly after that, there's some flashbangs going off around the area. Near Finicum's truck, there was really no response from anybody inside or anything like that. Later, Officer 4 states, some chemical agent starts getting introduced in the vehicle. It seems like it had no effect. Then some more got introduced in the vehicle. A little bit later on, more kind of rapid, a succession. And later he states, so it didn't really seem like it had a real big effect on occupants left inside. In the interview with Officer 7, when asked about the effect of the chemical rounds fired in the truck, Officer 7 stated, I don't know what effect it had initially on the people inside. The intent was just to introduce that powder into the cab and try and get them to come out. Later, he states, I recall the general commands I kept hearing were, let me see your hands, step out of the vehicle. But I can't tell you who was saying it or what. It was being yelled by multiple people all around me. Here is a summary of the statements made by the 3 officers. Next, you will see the video from inside the cab during the time after LaVoy was killed. You should try to answer the following questions as you watch this. What are the commands that are given? Why are the occupants of the truck not responding? Why are the occupants of the truck not obeying commands?
Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Damn it. Are they shooting him? Did they shoot him? You assholes. Oh my God! Hold still. Hold still. Stay down.
Is he dead?
Don't get out.
I'm EMT! I'm EMT!
Stop it.
Are you hit?
No, I'm EMT!
No, hold on. Hold on. Don't do anything. No shooting. Don't do anything. Keep the door shut. Where the hell is LaVoy? Damn.
I can't see.
No!
Shut up. Stay down, Ryan.
Oh, God!
Ryan, stay down. Stay down. Oh, shit. Keep down.
Did they kill him?
I think they did, and they're shooting over here on this door.
I got hit too.
Okay, hold still.
Where did you
I
get
don't
hit?
know. It didn't.
Hold still. Hold still.
Ryan, where did you get
Hold
hit?
still.
I'm not bleeding.
Okay, don't shoot
Where
us.
did you get hit, Ryan?
I'm okay. It's on
Okay,
the
I'm
shoulder.
going to take some.
It's okay.
I'm taking some. Keep down. Oh, shit. Well, I don't dare get out of the car. How are we supposed to get out of the car?
Did they tell us to get out of the car?
No, I can't hear anything. I don't dare get out of the car. Oh, shit. Quit shooting the windows.
Where are they shooting at?
They're hitting the windows. I don't know. They're trying to break their window.
God, keep us safe, please.
Please protect us,
Please,
God.
God.
Please protect us. Please protect us. Please protect us. We need help. We need help. We need help.
Did they kill him? They killed
Oh,
him.
I can see a laser coming in.
They killed. Oh my God, they killed him.
Okay. So where's the rest of everyone?
Are you okay?
Oh, yeah,
I can see lasers going by.
Where did you get hit?
I'm okay.
He's got lasers.
got a laser.
Keep your head down. I can see the laser. If you see a laser, keep it away. There's a laser on your knee. Stop! I don't dare get out because they'll shoot me.
I know.
Okay.
I don't like hunkering down here either.
Me either, but I don't know what to do because
I don't know.
they keep shooting lasers at us.
Get too stinking lax. Think things are just all dandy and fine. We got too damn lax.
Yeah. Damn, why do they keep shooting?
They're trying to take my head off is what they're trying to
I
do.
don't know, but all of us? Yes. That's ridiculous. Because you're stupid. I can kill all of us?
Keep us safe.
Father, please. Protect.
Those were gas rounds.
Yeah, they're wherever your nose quick. Can we get out? Do we get out?
No, don't get out.
I can't breathe. Okay. Okay.
God.
Okay.
God. Please keep
Okay,
us safe.
Okay, they got lasers still on us.
they got lasers still on us. LaVoy got out. I think they've killed LaVoy. They just shot gas rounds into the car. We're hunkered down in here trying not to be shot.
He's shooting at the window. He's shooting at the window.
Shooting more gas rounds. The gas is getting pretty thick in here.
God. Please.
Anyway,
You didn't get out. I don't dare get out. Will they shoot me?
yeah, they'll shoot you.
How am I gonna get out? If I get...
Anyway,
Can we put a white flag out?
Yeah, I would put a flag out. Let's put a flag out.
Do we have a white flag? Yep.
I'm not sure what they got. What you got?
There's a laser shooting right over here around this.
Okay. The gas dissipates.
He's trying to break this window. He's trying to break the window in out.
Okay.
Does anybody have anything white? Does he
I
have
don't
a
know.
white bra on?
I kick my shirt off. He's a laser trying to shoot this window. He's got this window open here.
Speak to people. Anyway, they ambushed us on the way to John Day. And now they're shooting into our vehicle. And we're hunkered down. We do not have phone service at this location.
I surrender! Can we just surrender?
Okay, open the left door. Let's get out.
Okay!
That's you, Ryan. I don't know if you can get out. You get out first. Let her in first. Let her out first. You go first. You go first.
Please don't shoot me!
Good. Go.
Okay, I get out.
Okay, get out.
Okay!
No, he'll shoot Ryan first. He'll shoot you first, Ryan. Hands up. Hands up.
The boy's dead.
Sit.
According to the video, no commands were given until after the last gas round was fired. The occupants of the truck made numerous attempts to communicate. These attempts to communicate were either ignored or suppressed with gunfire. When the first command was given, the occupants of the truck immediately responded and immediately complied. All OC rounds were used before the first command was given. Every single shot fired at the occupants of the truck is consistent with the FBI attempting to escalate the situation and provoke violence in a way that can later be blamed on the occupants of the truck. In fact, the 3 officers have been caught trying to blame the occupants of the truck for actions that the FBI and Oregon State Police created. When Victoria wanted to get out of the truck to help LaVoy, this would have been a perfect opportunity for the officers to end the situation peacefully. Victoria wanted to help LaVoy. She wanted out of the truck and she tried to communicate. The response to the door opening was 2 immediate shots. No one from the FBI attempted to start a dialogue with Victoria. The 2 shots send a message. The message is, if you try to get out of the truck, the FBI will kill you. And do not attempt to communicate with the FBI.
I can't
Is
get
he
out.
dead?
Don't get out.
I'm EMT!
Stop it.
Are you hit?
No, I'm EMT!
No, hold on. Don't do anything. They're shooting. Don't do anything. The door is shut.
This next video segment demonstrates the FBI's attitude very well, and what their intent is. Shauna's and Victoria's attempt to communicate is met with a barrage of gunfire. The obvious message from the FBI is that they do not want any attempts to communicate, and that they are trying to convince the remaining occupants of the truck that they will all be killed.
Stop! Stop! Because you're stupid. Are you going to kill all of us?
In this next video segment, since all of their attempts to communicate with the FBI have been met with either silence or gunfire, Victoria is being more creative in finding ways to communicate. This shows that the occupants of the truck are doing everything in their power to communicate.
Can we put a white flag out?
Yeah, I would put a flag out. Let's put a flag out.
Do you have a white flag?
In this next video segment, notice that the behavior of the FBI has radically changed. Now they are giving commands and the occupants of the truck comply immediately. The FBI's original plan was to remove the option of communicating and exiting the truck peacefully. They wanted the occupants of the truck to believe that their only option was to fight back. This would give the FBI justification for killing everyone. This plan failed because the occupants of the truck were clearly prepared to die before fighting back, even though they had guns in the truck. Because the occupants of the truck did not fight back as the FBI wanted, the FBI had to cancel their plans to kill them all, and now they are trying to act like real policemen. The commands now are clearly heard. This shows that the only reason that commands were not heard before is that either no commands were given or that they were not intended to be heard.
I surrender! Can we just surrender?
Okay, open the left door. Let's get out.
Okay!
That's you, Ryan. I don't know if you can get out. You get out first. Let her in first. Let her out first. You go first. You go first.
Please don't shoot me!
Good. Go.
Okay, I get out.
Okay, get out.
Okay!
No, he'll shoot Ryan first. He'll shoot you first, Ryan. Hands up. Hands up.
LaVoy's dead.
Sit. Okay. Okay, go. Okay, hands up. Okay, go.
There is an important pattern of escalating the violence that is seen in nearly every action made by the FBI and Oregon State Police. An officer will make an action that escalates the violence. The officer will blame the escalated violence on the victim and use it to justify more violence. The officer's excuse, if given, will be illogical and opposite to the logical result of the action. A specific sub-pattern of the previous pattern also occurs frequently, where the officer shoots at those who try to comply with the FBI. When a person tries to comply with commands, an officer shoots at them, preventing them from complying. The officer then uses the failure to comply with commands to justify more violence. Here is the justification for the shot at Ryan Payne at the first stop.
The Oregon State Police fired one less lethal OC round at the truck to gain compliance.
The occupants of the truck did not comply because of the shot, and LaVoy fled because of the shot. Here is the justification for the 3 shots at LaVoy as he was stopping at the roadblock.
An Oregon State Police trooper who was standing at the roadblock fired 3 shots into the truck in an attempt to stop it.
LaVoy was stopping before he was shot at. LaVoy was unable to stop because of the 3 shots. Here is the justification for 5 minutes of shooting at the remaining occupants of the truck.
After Mr. Finicum was shot, numerous gas projectiles and flashbangs were deployed to get the remaining occupants of the truck, Ryan Bundy, Shauna Cox, and Victoria Sharp, to surrender peacefully.
The occupants of the truck tried to surrender peacefully just after LaVoy was shot. They were unable to surrender because of the numerous shots fired at them. All of these shots both escalated the violence and prevented compliance. All of these shots created the exact situation that the officers claimed they were trying to prevent. The results were logical. The excuses are not logical. There was no legitimate purpose for the first stop since there was a roadblock up ahead. The first stop merely created the opportunity to create a high-speed chase into the roadblock. When Ryan Payne was attempting to talk about how to get people out of the truck, the officers fired at him, claiming that they were trying to get people to comply. When LaVoy made the logical response to an unprovoked shot and fled, The officers used this as justification for more violence. An officer chased LaVoy at high speeds even though he knew that there was a roadblock just over a mile ahead, and that the logical result would be a high-speed crash at the roadblock. The roadblock was set on a high-speed blind curve. The logical result is that LaVoy would have difficulty stopping. This was used to justify firing at LaVoy, even though at the time of the first shot, LaVoy was stopping as quickly as possible. The shots then prevented LaVoy from stopping. The result that was caused by the shots was used as justification for the shots. The FBI tried to hide the 2 shots fired at LaVoy when his hands were clearly up and he was exiting the truck. The FBI tried to hide the foam bullet shot that caused LaVoy to reach for the wound. Its purpose was to justify the kill shots. When LaVoy reached for the wound from the foam bullet shot, 3 shots were fired, killing LaVoy. The justification was the reach, which was caused by the earlier foam bullet shot. When Victoria tried to exit the truck peacefully, the officers immediately fired at her, forcing her to stay in the truck, and then used the fact that no one exited the truck to justify more shooting. When Shauna and Victoria tried to communicate with the FBI, 6 shots were immediately fired at them, ending their communication attempt. The officers then claimed that there was no response from the occupants of the truck and used this to justify more shooting. The officers did not give any commands that could be heard for over 5 minutes, and then claimed that they fired on the truck occupants because no one responded to commands. Notice that this pattern of making actions that escalate the violence and using the result as justification for more violence has been shown for every single shot fired, both lethal and non-lethal bullets. This pattern has also been shown for every single major decision made, especially the positioning of the roadblock. When taken in context, every single one of these actions is inconsistent with the official story, and every single one of these actions is consistent with premeditated murder by the FBI. Now we will take a more detailed look at the pattern of shooting to prevent compliance. When someone attempts to comply with the FBI, an officer will shoot at that person, preventing them from complying. The officer then uses the failure to comply to justify more violence. In the following table, all significant attempts at compliance by LaVoy or the other occupants of the truck will be listed up until the final commands for the remaining occupants to exit the truck. When Ryan Payne attempted to talk with the FBI, 1 immediate shot was fired at him. When LaVoy attempted to stop at the roadblock, 3 shots were fired, preventing LaVoy from stopping. When LaVoy exited the truck with his hands up, 2 immediate shots were fired at LaVoy. When LaVoy continued to keep his hands up, a foam bullet was fired, striking LaVoy in the chest, causing him to reach for the wound. When Victoria attempted to communicate with the FBI and to exit the truck peacefully, 2 immediate shots were fired, forcing Victoria to stay in the truck. When Shauna and Victoria attempted to communicate with the FBI, 6 immediate shots were fired, ending their attempt to communicate. Every time that someone attempted to comply with the FBI, the response was immediate shots fired at the person attempting to comply. Each time that the shots prevented compliance, the failure to comply was then used to justify more violence. Not only did every action by the FBI escalate the violence, but they shot at every person who attempted to reduce the violence. This behavior is consistent with premeditated murder. In conclusion, LaVoy was encouraged to flee the first stop by the FBI shooting at Ryan Payne, and more shots were planned if LaVoy had not fled. The roadblock was placed in the most dangerous place available, with the expected result of causing a high-speed crash. The position of the roadblock by itself is enough to prove premeditated murder. LaVoy attempted to stop at the roadblock, and he began stopping at a reasonable position and at a reasonable rate. The reason that LaVoy failed to stop was the dangerous placement of the roadblock and the 3 shots fired at him as he approached the roadblock. LaVoy did not attempt to run the roadblock. LaVoy did not reach for a gun. He reached for a wound from a foam bullet shot that was not revealed by the FBI. All of the major decisions made by the FBI fit the pattern of escalating the violence. All of the shots fired, both lethal bullets and non-lethal bullets, fit the pattern of escalating the violence. With the exception of the final surrender, all attempts at compliance by LaVoy or the other occupants of the truck were met with a response of shots fired at the person attempting to comply. The evidence is clear and the conclusion is certain. The murder of LaVoy Finicum by the FBI was premeditated.